Have you ever wondered why some people seem to notice opportunities almost everywhere they look, while others feel as though abundance is always just out of reach? Maybe you've told yourself that if you just worked harder, learned more, or waited for the right moment, everything would finally fall into place. Yet somehow that feeling of not enough keeps returning. If that sounds familiar, you're not alone. Many people discover that the first real shift doesn't begin in their bank account or their circumstances. It begins in the way they pay attention to the world around them. Think about it. Every day your mind processes an incredible amount of information. Most of it never reaches your conscious awareness. Your brain constantly filters what deserves your attention and what can be ignored. This process helps you function without becoming overwhelmed, but it also means that what you expect to find often shapes what you actually notice. Have you ever bought a new car and suddenly started seeing the same model everywhere? The cars were always there. Your attention simply changed. Something similar may happen with opportunities, confidence, and even your relationship with money. Some people believe this is one way the law of attraction begins to feel real in everyday life. As your focus changes, your perception changes, and your actions often follow. Your first abundance transformation is not about pretending everything is perfect. It is not about forcing yourself to ignore challenges or convincing yourself that problems do not exist. Instead, it begins with becoming aware of where your attention naturally goes. That awareness creates space for different choices. Maybe you've noticed how quickly your mind reacts when you receive an unexpected expense. Before you even finish reading the bill, a series of thoughts may appear. This always happens to me. I'm falling behind. There's never enough. These thoughts often arrive automatically. They can feel so familiar that you hardly question them. Most people don't realize that habits are not limited to what they do. Habits also exist in the way they think, interpret situations, and respond emotionally. Over time, repeated thoughts become familiar mental pathways. The brain tends to return to what feels familiar because it requires less effort. This is one reason why changing a mindset often takes patience rather than a single moment of inspiration. What if your first step isn't replacing every negative thought with a positive one? What if it is simply noticing those thoughts without immediately believing them? That small difference may seem almost too simple, but many people find that awareness changes the way they experience daily life. Instead of being carried away by automatic reactions, they begin observing them. And once something can be observed, it often becomes easier to change over time. Imagine waking up tomorrow and paying attention to your first thoughts about the day ahead. Are they filled with possibility, or do they immediately focus on pressure and limitation? There is no need to judge yourself. This isn't a test. It is simply information. Your subconscious learns through repetition. Every repeated emotional experience sends a quiet message about what feels normal. If worry becomes the most repeated emotional pattern, the brain may continue preparing for more situations that seem to justify that worry. If gratitude, curiosity, and openness become more familiar, your attention may gradually begin noticing experiences that match those emotional states. This does not mean life suddenly becomes perfect. Challenges still appear. Unexpected events still happen. But your relationship with those events can begin to change. Many people report that when they become less focused on what is missing, they begin recognizing resources they previously overlooked. Sometimes those resources are practical. A conversation leads to a new idea. A forgotten skill becomes useful again. An opportunity appears because they finally noticed it instead of dismissing it. People often describe this as attracting abundance. Others simply call it becoming more aware. Whatever language feels right to you, the experience may begin with something surprisingly ordinary: paying attention. There's another reason this matters. Your emotions influence your decisions far more often than you may realize. When people feel constant fear around money, they sometimes delay important decisions, avoid learning new skills, or ignore opportunities because uncertainty feels uncomfortable. On the other hand, a calmer emotional state often supports clearer thinking. This is why daily habits matter so much. One dramatic moment rarely changes an entire life. Small actions repeated day after day often shape lasting results. the same is true for your attention. Every time you intentionally notice something supportive, instead of automatically expecting disappointment, you strengthen a different pattern. Little by little, your brain learns that another way of seeing the world is available. Some people believe this gradual shift also changes the energy they bring into conversations, work, and relationships. They may appear more confident, more open, and more willing to act. Whether someone describes this through psychology, habit formation, or the law of attraction, the practical experience can feel surprisingly similar. Have you ever met someone who naturally expects solutions instead of obstacles? Their confidence often influences how they approach problems. They ask different questions. They notice different possibilities. They stay engaged longer instead of giving up quickly. That doesn't happen by accident. Attention becomes practice. Practice becomes habit. Habit shapes expectations. Expectations influence behavior. Behavior creates different experiences. The cycle continues. What happens next depends less on one extraordinary event and more on hundreds of ordinary moments. Think about your own day. How many times do you automatically focus on what isn't working? How often do you overlook something that went well because your mind immediately moves to the next problem? Few people notice how quickly the mind dismisses small victories. You paid a bill on time. You finished an important task. Someone appreciated your work. You solved a problem more calmly than before. These moments may seem too small to matter, yet they quietly shape your sense of progress. When the brain repeatedly recognizes progress, motivation often becomes easier to maintain. This supports self-regulation, helping you continue making thoughtful decisions even when challenges appear. Some people also enjoy pairing quiet reflection with relaxing sound frequencies. Listening to calming audio during moments of stillness may help create an environment that supports focus and relaxation. While experiences differ from person to person, many find that slowing down for a few minutes allows them to notice thoughts they usually overlook. The important part is not chasing a special feeling. It is building consistency. Day after day, little by little. One small change. Your first abundance transformation may begin long before anyone else notices it. It may happen in the private moments when you choose curiosity instead of criticism, when you pause before reacting, when you become interested in your own patterns instead of frustrated by them. That quiet shift often creates space for something new. Maybe you've noticed that people who continue learning, observing, and adapting often experience gradual improvements over time. Their external progress usually reflects countless small internal adjustments that happened first. Your attention works like a flashlight. Wherever you point it, details become clearer. If the light always shines on fear, fear becomes easier to find. If it begins exploring possibility, possibility may become easier to recognize. Neither approach changes reality overnight, but it changes what you engage with. And what you engage with often influences what you build. That is why today's practice is intentionally simple. Tonight, before you go to sleep, spend just 3 quiet minutes sitting somewhere comfortable. Take a few slow breaths and allow your mind to settle. Then gently ask yourself one question. What signs of abundance did I overlook today? Don't force an answer. Let your mind search naturally. Perhaps someone offered encouragement. Maybe you learned something useful. Maybe you solved a small problem or appreciated something you already have. Simply notice these moments without trying to make them bigger than they are. Tomorrow, pay attention to whether your mind begins recognizing similar moments more quickly. Many people are surprised by how this simple exercise gradually changes what they notice during the day. You are not trying to create abundance through effort alone. You are training your awareness to recognize what may already be present. This practice only takes a few minutes, but repeated consistently, it may become the beginning of a different relationship with opportunity, gratitude, and possibility. Remember, your first abundance transformation does not need to be dramatic. It only needs to begin. If you enjoyed this first step in our daily abundance journey, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss tomorrow's practice. Every video in this series builds naturally on the previous one, helping you strengthen your awareness little by little. I'd also love to hear from you in the comments. What was one sign of abundance you noticed today, no matter how small it seemed? Your experience may encourage someone else to begin noticing their own. Be sure to check the description and the pinned comment for additional resources related to today's topic. And remember, lasting change usually comes from small actions practiced consistently, not from one isolated moment. I'll see you tomorrow as we continue building this journey together, one simple practice at a time.